If you spend any time online, you've definitely seen it. This idea that you can use neuroscience to, literally manifest your reality. It's an incredibly powerful concept, and it's everywhere. But is it real science, or is it something else entirely? Well, in this explainer, we are going to dig in and find out.
This right here, this is the seductive promise, isn't it? The idea that your mind isn't just a passenger along for the ride, but it's actually the pilot, actively shaping the world around you. It's a thrilling thought. It suggests a level of control that, let's be honest, we've probably all dreamed of. But is there any actual truth to it?
Okay, so to figure that out, we have to start with the real science. Because buried deep inside this whole idea, there are these little fragments of genuine, totally fascinating neuroscience. Let's see if we can pull them apart and separate what's real from what's, well, not. So everything you see here, this is solid, established neuroscience. It is absolutely true that our brains run simulations of the future. It's true that our attention acts like a filter for reality. And yup, strong emotions lock in our memories, and our own sense of self can kind of put a cage around what we even think is possible for us. These are the scientific building blocks that the whole manifestation argument is built on.
But here's where the sleight of hand comes in. There's this very subtle but absolutely crucial leap in logic that takes us right out of the world of science and drops us into the realm of metaphysics. This is where the magic trick is performed.
It happens in 3 steps. And you know what? The first 2 are totally real. Your brain does filter information, and you do tend to notice things that confirm what you already believe. But then comes the leap, the claim that by noticing something, you are somehow creating it. This is where 2 real scientific truths are kind of twisted to justify a claim that can't be proven or disproven.
And that brings us to the most critical difference of all, constructing your perception versus constructing reality. Neuroscience has shown, pretty clearly, that our brains build our experience of the world. It's a process called predictive processing. But the whole manifestation ideology claims our brains build the world itself. You see the difference? It's confusing seeing with creating. Think of it this way. Your brain might not expect to see a car coming, right? So you don't really notice it until the very last second. But that doesn't mean the car wasn't physically there the whole time. The photons were still hitting your retina. Your perception is one thing, the physical world is a whole other thing. So if manifestation is a flawed model, what's the alternative? I mean, is there a way to honor the power of our consciousness without falling into magical thinking? I think so. Let's explore a different framework, one called recognition. A key concept here is something called recursion, and notice that's spelled with an O-U. This isn't about creating something out of thin air. It's about sensing patterns that are already present, just unorganized, and then helping them take form. You're not the creator, you're more like the midwife.
And the core difference really comes down to the question they ask. Manifestation asks, what do I want? It's all about individual desire and force. Recognition, on the other hand, asks, what is trying to emerge? It shifts the whole focus from imposing your will to participating in a much larger process. And the how is completely different too. Manifestation relies on these individual tools, right? Willpower, visualization. Recognition is all about collaboration. It's about sensing patterns, creating relational structures, and really fostering coherence in the field of consciousness itself. It's not a solitary act, it's a relational one. And this is the really profound insight that just sums it all up. The whole perspective shifts away from the ego claiming credit, I manifested this, to this humble recognition that the field organized through us. You're not the sole creator, you're a participant, a conduit in a much larger process. Now you might be thinking, okay, this is just a philosophical debate, but it's really not. This distinction has serious, real-world consequences, especially when we start talking about mental health. Honestly, the stakes couldn't be higher. Let's just take a clinical case like depression. The manifestation approach sees it as a negative manifestation, basically something you created with your own thoughts. So the prescription is just to think positively, which, when you get down to it, just blames the individual for their own suffering. The recognition approach sees it as a field collapse, a breakdown in coherence across biology, relationships, your environment. The intervention isn't blame, it's to restore that coherence. One path leads to shame, the other to genuine healing. And that's because this kind of magical thinking is genuinely dangerous.
It blames victims for illnesses and circumstances that are way beyond their control. It can cause people to delay getting real, evidence-based treatments that actually work. And when it fails, because let's be real, positive thinking alone can't overcome severe biological or social problems, it just heaps shame and guilt on people who are already suffering.
So how can we tell the difference? How do we spot a helpful framework from a harmful one out in the wild? Well, there's a really simple test we can use, and I like to call it the trademark test.
The core question you have to ask is this: are you dealing with a closed, limiting system or an open, universal principle? Because the way an idea is packaged and sold tells you pretty much everything you need to know about what it really is.
We can think of this as the difference between an Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, and a spiral. The Ouroboros is a closed loop. It's a proprietary method. It's got a trademark. It's a system that just validates itself and creates dependency on some guru. The spiral, though, that's an open system. It's traceable back to bedrock, universal principles, and it can be freely shared and built upon by anybody. The trademark is the tell. It's the signature of a closed system. It's a declaration of ownership. It's someone saying, I created this, it's mine, and you need to pay me to get access to it. That's the manifestation mindset in action right there.
I mean, think about it. No one has trademarked gravity. No one can sell you a license to go eat wild blackberries. We all just recognize that these things were always here. They're universal principles, not individual creations. So the next time you come across some big new idea, just ask yourself, is this a blackberry or is it a trademark? The answer might just tell you everything you need to know.